My dream this morning and its interpretation. Welcome, Swagatham, Vanakkam. It's not often that I dream these days, but strangely enough, between 4:30 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. this very morning, I had a rather detailed and prolonged dream. A dream that I very vividly remember. Dreams are of two kinds. One, and that's a much larger category, dreams that you don't remember. Scientists tell us that everybody dreams, and in fact, many dreams per sleep. But people forget most of them, almost all of them. But there are a few dreams that people remember after they wake up. So that's the second category. First category, dreams seen but not remembered. Second category, dreams seen and remembered. So when I say that these days I don't dream, perhaps I don't mean to say that I don't dream at all, but that I forget all the dreams that come to me in sleep. But this one was different. It was a very prolonged dream, lavish in its details. I will not bore you with all the details of the dream spread over nearly, I think, 30 to 40 minutes, though it's very difficult to be sure about the time aspect of a dream. Now, what was the dream I had? In my dream, I saw that I was giving a very widely, enthusiastically received sermon in a place that was completely indeterminate. Usually, you would remember a sermon in relation to a particular context. For example, the sermon was given in this particular city or that particular country, and you were invited to give that sermon there by this church or that church. And you would perhaps see the faces of a few organizers. Maybe you would also remember the faces that you saw among the crowds. But in this context, in this dream, the context was completely vague. I could not connect the dream of giving a sermon to any particular country. Was it in India? It was indistinct. Was it in one of the European countries? It was not clear. Was it in South America? Was it in one of the African countries or South American countries? I can't say, because even though the dream was very vivid and several of his other details are clear, this one thing remains completely vague. So that's the first thing that I need to state. The second thing is that the people responded with great enthusiasm, but they sought and struggled. They competed among themselves to show their appreciation for the sermon I preached to them by giving me, rather choking me with presents. Somebody was bringing me a very expensive, shall I say, iPad. Somebody was giving me some wonderful book, rare book. Somebody was giving me a pair of something that could be kept on the showcase. Somebody was trying to give me a ring. Somebody was trying to give me a pair of very exotic shoes, so on and so all kinds of things. And somebody was actually trying to give me. Several people were trying to give me checks of various amounts, but I couldn't pay any attention to any of these things for a reason. The reason was, and I'm saying this with some embarrassment, but I have to tell you the truth, my bladder was full. My bladder was full and I needed to pass urine. I needed to void the urine that had collected within me because I was preaching for a long time. And the meanwhile, my kidneys were working, so my bladder was full, and my bladder was so full that it made me so uncomfortable. It caused immense and unbearable discomfort, and particularly for a person of my age who has developed prostate problems. This can be a problem of acute suffering. Therefore, my pressing need, my acute need, my painful need was to find a toilet. What I needed at that time was not an iPad, was not a pair of a jewel-studded ring, or several checks or drafts or money or whatever. What I needed was a toilet, but that was not to be found. So, out of my desperation, compromising my sense of embarrassment, I asked several of the organizers where I could find a toilet. And each one of them would give me an answer that there is a toilet there. And I would go there and I would look everywhere. I would find no toilet. They would come back. Then I would ask another organizer, and he would show me another direction and say, "You'll surely find a very nice, well kept, clean toilet." So I would rush there to the extent I could. In the meanwhile, my discomfort is building up, my bladders are swelling, my pain is increasing, and I'm finding it unbearable. But this process went on. Then I'd come back and I would be directed to another place. I would go there and find absolutely no toilet. And in the meanwhile, people are queuing up to give me more and more presents, more and more money, more and more tokens of their affection, appreciation, etc. But what I really needed was a toilet, and there was no toilet to be found. And I really suffered through my dream. I groaned, and in that state I woke up. So this is the dream I had. Now I began to ask myself what this dream meant. As I said, dreaming is not my particularly favorite habit. Again, uh, even if I dream, I won't remember those dreams. But this one particular dream, a dream of much suffering, a dream that remained so clear and fresh in my memory even after I woke up, a dream of haunting effect. What does this dream mean? I found myself asking this question in spite of myself. So I closed my eyes and sat in meditation for some time, trying to engage with it. I'm not like Joseph, who was given a very special gift by God to interpret dreams. And you know that it was this divine gift of dream interpretation that projected, catapulted Joseph to the very top echelon of Egyptian power. I've not been blessed with such a gift. But in this instance, I had such a desperate need of making sense of this dream, which had remained so clear, compellingly haunting, and therefore I needed to understand it. After some time, the meaning of the dream began to dawn on me, and I have to tell you that perhaps it was the first of my dreams ever that I interpret for myself, which also tells you the acute nature of the dream, which generates a compulsion to understand. Because if you want to uh, close the lid of the dream, then you have to understand it. By understanding it, you overcome the dream, and then you consign the dream to the compartment of oblivion. So anyway, I began to understand the dream, and this is how I understand the dream. And if you have a different understanding of this, my dream, please feel free to share it with me. I'll be very grateful, and I'll be happy to publish. And you can actually send me audio clips of your interpretations via WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to string them together and turn them into a very beautiful, meaningful, and illuminating video. So here is my interpretation. I believe that the only possible uh, um, association with my dream, that is to say, the counterpart to my preaching in my dream is my working very enthusiastically on developing the contents of our YouTube fellowship. There was a time when I was busy preaching all over India and several other countries in different continents. I don't do that at all for obvious reasons, because now Christendom senses that I am a terrible danger because I try to understand the teachings of Jesus Christ, which quite obviously spreads panic among churches. So I'm spared the contingency of having to travel far and wide, trying to pretend that I was preaching to them the Word of God. So now I have this far more superior, far more agreeable, amenable medium of this YouTube fellowship, where I can share with those who care to hear what I consider to be the real meanings of the teachings of Jesus Christ, as well as insights from various other fields of human knowledge and inquiry, including the philosophy of other religions, uh, on which I am not an expert, but about which I remain keen and eager to know. So, the analog to the preaching that I saw myself doing in my dream is my passionate involvement with developing the contents for our YouTube fellowship. It is possible for someone to interpret that this dream is a projection of my frustration about not being invited to preach in different churches, different countries, etc., which was at some point my excitement. I have to admit that I was excited about it in those days. But if you'll allow me to tell you the truth, I don't miss it one bit. Then, of course, you can counter my statement by saying that, oh, this is nothing but an example of Sargrave psychology. Now, nobody calls you, therefore, you say that you don't miss it. But those who know me will also know that it is not that people stopped calling me, but that I stopped accepting invitations. Even now, I get invitations in various invitations to various places which I don't accept. The only invitations I accept are invitations where I can give a talk online, Zoom or any other medium. But that's by the way. So I'm quite sincere and very clear in saying that the analog in the dream of my preaching in the real world is the way I work hard and work very joyfully on developing the contents of this YouTube fellowship. And obviously, in the dream, I saw people receiving my sermon with great enthusiasm and applause, which of course corresponds to the positive, enthusiastic, appreciative responses from so many of you, far exceeding my wildest calculations when I started this enterprise about a year and a half ago. Truth to tell, when I decided to start something like, if you like, a YouTube channel, I did not expect that even 500 people will come on board. But today we are approaching 19,000. Not there, we're approaching 18.7 thousand to be precise. Not only that, it's not the quality of responses that I receive from all of you is something that distinguishes our shared space in the cyberspace from most of the channels. So I'm particularly happy about this treasure that we together have developed. And therefore, I'm utterly convinced that what in the dream I saw as my preaching is in real life my working very joyfully, eagerly, enthusiastically on developing the various videos to be shared with you. And of course, the enthusiastic response. But then, why did all this culminate in discomfort and mounting misery? And that is something that I have to honestly reveal to you. And I understand it in this manner. Perhaps I'm getting a little agonized, a little frustrated. Frustrated is a mild word, agonized is perhaps a correct word. That the really profound videos I make and share with the viewers are seen only by a few hundreds. The videos that I consider to be light-hearted, sometimes frivolous, the videos to which I do not attach much significance, the videos that I would have been happy not to do, attract far greater viewership. For example, the video I made on a very, shall I say, a stupid fellow spouting what he considers to be speaking in other tongues. The technical word for speaking in other tongues is glossolalia. Glossolalia. What's the technical word for speaking in other tongues? Glossolalia. So, a fellow sort of getting worked up and being in a state of hysterical deliria, indulging in glossolalia, that particular video and similar other videos, political videos, to which I hardly attach any significance. They are seen by 20 times, 30 times, 50 times, sometimes 100 times more people than a video of profound significance that I make about the teachings of Jesus Christ. The reason why this makes me anguished is that the purpose of my entire enterprise is to make true understanding prevail, or to use the symbolism of Jesus Christ, to make light prevail. Because it's only when we understand deeper truths that our personality is enriched and we are enhanced in our imagination and intellect, and our sense of personal dignity improves, and we are able to relate to people and situations far more sensibly and in a more ennobling manner. So, the very purpose of our enterprise is the enrichment of our personality. But our strategy for doing so is not worldly, because there are many people and places that offer crash courses on personality development. Not understanding what personality really means, I'm totally convinced that personality is a spiritual concept, and therefore you cannot enhance or even develop your personality in a worldly manner. If you develop your personality in a worldly manner, it will be only an appearance of personality, like the personality of a mannequin or a dummy, a tailor's dummy, for example. So, the really worthwhile, meaningful, valuable videos of substantial insights that I believe everybody should see not once but several times, they are hardly seen. Whereas videos of not much significance, I mean, there would be something in those videos, surely, because I wouldn't do a video without, unless I'm convinced that there is at least one a residual thought, one nugget of insight in each one of them. So that may be the reason why in my dream I saw myself looking desperately for a place where I can void the collected and still collecting urine and attain some inner relief, some inner comfort. This is how I interpret my dream. I don't know what you think about it. I'll be very, very keen to get your responses. Please feel free to make your responses in the form of small video clips, say 3 minutes, 4 minutes, not more than that, and attach them to your WhatsApp message or post it on WhatsApp for me. I will use those video clips and then make my comments on them so that we arrive at a better, clearer, more satisfactory interpretation of this very vivid and haunting dream. Thank you very much. And I believe that we together have created this dream, and therefore we have a collective responsibility to arrive at pardon me, an adequate and appropriate interpretation of the dream. All the very best. Bye.